Hello, everyone. I'm going to walk you all through the document I linked on the ed post for publishing a Quarto website. In case you have any issues with that, maybe this video will help clarify any of those. And also, you can come to my office hours on Friday. It's 3 to 5 in Evans Hall. So, to get started, you're going to first open up Positron. And to make your new project, you'll actually have to click View up here. Or is it? I think it's View. Yeah. And then you click Command Palette. Um, there's another way to access that with a little hotkey that I usually use that's just Command Shift P. And then from here, you're going to search up, it's called Quarto Create, Create Website. And you're going to either click or hit return on the top option. And then here you're going to click on Website Project. Then you're going to be given on your computer some place to put it. So just for today, I'm going to put it in my downloads, but you can put it wherever's more convenient for you. Okay. Then it's going to ask you to type in a name. I'm just going to call it website and then hit return. And here we go. So first things first, you're launched into on your Explorer on the left, you'll see a .quarto file. You won't have to really worry about that. Quarto.yaml file, an about QMD file, and an index QMD file, as well as a CSS file, which I won't go into, but you can read up more about that online. Okay, so before we get started with any of this, I'm going to quickly preview the website. So in Positron, you can go to the bottom here. Once you open something in Positron, it by default will give you the path to where you currently are. So you don't have to worry about changing directory or anything like that. So I'm just going to type the words Quarto Preview. I'm not even going to give it a specific document or anything. Um, it will know to preview everything here, and it's going to launch you into a browser. And you'll see website. This is a Quarto website. To learn more, visit here. This actually reflects everything that is on the index right now. And if you go back to this, you can see there's also an About tab, which says About this site and About at the very top. And as you might expect, that reflects this information in the About QMD file. Okay, so it looks like um, in the document we have some sample websites that you can look at if you need help like basing anything about your website. But I'm going to include some extra stuff and also explain what's going on here in the Quarto YAML. So you'll see here you have some metadata information, including that the project is a type website. This is a specific thing that Quarto looks for, and it knows to convert it to this type of format called Quarto websites. And we also see here that we can give the website a title, navigation bar, specify the nav bar's location, stuff like that. That's a bunch of stuff that you can change. You can also add new files. So for example, if you had a projects Quarto file, you can add that as well. And then here you have a little format section where you can change the theme, for example. If you had a different CSS file, you could change it here. And then the table of contents we have is true. Okay. So one thing we could change here, change the theme to a Yeti theme. There's actually a lot of themes available. And luckily on the accompanying document that we have on the ed post, there's a giant list of themes that you can choose from. Yeti's just a really nice one that I use for my own website actually, but it's just a pretty common theme. Um, let's also include, so for this about QMD, you can also change the text um, that shows up at the top of the bar. So you can see here, after I save the file, you can see the Yeti theme actually came into effect. I believe by default, the names of these takes the title from the Quarto document. So if you see here in About QMD, it says title about, and up here it says about. But that's because in our Quarto YAML file, we didn't specify the name in text. So I'm going to say href, it's about QMD. I'm going to say text is about tab, and all caps just to illustrate that. You could see it changes. So I'm just going to call this about. Um, you can also include your resume. So I'm going to turn off my autopilot. Um, so I'm also going to include a resume. So I'll call this resume.qmd, and for the text, I'll call it resume. And I save. And then if I look here, see that tab is here. It says not found. Okay, we're going to have to make that. So to make that new file, I could in Positron click the new button here, click new file, and then here I'll say Quarto document. Then I'll make a QMD file. You can get rid of this format HTML. It's already specified in the Quarto YAML file. And then the title, I'll give it as resume. I'll save it, and I'll just call it, you have to give it the same name you gave it in the Quarto YAML. So I'll say resume QMD. And then we see here we have 3 tabs, and hopefully this fixes itself. Okay, let's add some information. Resume. Just make sure they're the same name. Okay, and now the resume is showing it. Okay, great. You might have to fiddle with Quarto sometimes, the preview. Sometimes it will only change the file that you're in that you saved recently. So you might have to go back and save another file by just, just changing one character and then saving. And then you can see that change reflected in your browser. Okay, awesome. So move on. Something we can customize in I believe this is the About page. Let's see. This is the home page. So the home page is index QMD. You can see here they edited some things. They included a headshot. They included some links to websites. We could do that as well. So this could be in a little about section. And the template I'm going to leave the same. Actually, yeah, I'll change the template to Jala as well, just to make it similar to theirs. Um, and then also, if you have a headshot you want to include on your website, um, for example, if you wanted to make your website like a portfolio of your projects and include like um, a headshot in the homepage so people can see you, you could add that here with the image argument. And so I do have an image sitting in my downloads, so I will move that here. So you can see that headshot is here now. I'm also going to make a figures directory, then move headshot to figures, just to clean this up a little bit. And we'll say image is now here in this figures directory, so we could say figures slash headshot JPEG. Okay, so let's see what this looks like right now. You could see that's my face right there. And it says website. So this title just reflects here on top this title. You can change this to like your name. So uh, whatever name you want to give. I guess you should probably put your own name, but again, this is an example. Um, okay. Some other things you can add are links. So, for example, you can add a LinkedIn link. You could also include an icon. So then, and then if we say text 10, I believe um, the href is really what we're looking for the link. So we'll say uh, linkedin.com in slash Ducky. I don't know who has that, but we'll find out soon, I guess. So to learn more about, oh, here it is. Here's the LinkedIn link. So we click on this and Ducky. Okay. Shout out to that guy. You can also include your GitHub if you'd like. So I guess it's GitHub, all lowercase, text GitHub, and then href. HTTP, that's called github.com slash. I'll actually put my own GitHub because you all know that, or you have access to that. So you can see here the icon actually shows up. Um, this wasn't happening for the LinkedIn icon. Might be because it needs to be in lowercase. Let's see, yeah. So the LinkedIn icon, it will recognize it in lowercase. Same with GitHub. Okay. And then you could also add like your Facebook or Twitter or whatever else. But I mean, for a professional website, I think LinkedIn is enough. GitHub, if you have a decent GitHub with projects, that's good too. Okay. And you can also add like a little about section here. You probably shouldn't have it about Quarto websites. So, hi, I'm a duck. I like data science and statistics. I'm looking for roles in X industry. Awesome. So Ducky's portfolio is looking really great here. Sorry, that's my GitHub, and then it's the LinkedIn. Nice. Okay. So I think throughout this document, it'll say if you want to look at your work, it'll say to type Quarto preview, but you can honestly just have this running in the background. Every time you save the file, make a change and save the file, you'll see it'll rerun it automatically. And then your change will appear. So as long as you have it continuously running, you don't have to worry about that. That's the really nice thing about Quarto preview. Okay, and then we also see some links here for more templates, more about images, and then also links. Okay, and then there's this section on customizing the about page. Sorry, I'm kind of guessing the tabs because the zoom thing is above. It's like right where my tabs are. Okay. So here in the about section, let's see, what things can we add? We could add your major or minor, what year you're in. Let's change the title up too. So we'll say about Ducky, and we'll say I am from the pool. You could add your major, so I am studying statistics and data science. Um, you could add some hobbies or something like that. I mean, let's be honest, most recruiters aren't really going to look at this stuff, but some of them, if they really If they like your portfolio, or are they on the edge? It could give them a reason to like you potentially if you come off relatable. So you could say, I enjoy swimming in the pool. This is a really lame duck. Okay. Um, you also see this section that says you can add quotes. So if you use this little caret operator, I think, or I guess you could call this a greater than sign, it will add some interesting format in Markdown. It looks like this. So it gives you like this vertical bar, and then it's kind of like escaping the rest of the text. So it can be cool to emphasize things. So for example, I study at, you know, C Berkeley, for example, if you really wanted that to stick out. Um, Also, if you wanted to add like new lines, like separation between lines, you can use a little backslash, and you see there's some more separation here. You can add multiple to add more separation. Um, if you wanted a vertical bar, I think it's 3 stars. Let's check. Yeah, so if you put 3 stars, it'll put like a little vertical bar of space. There's a lot. This is like just the tip of the iceberg with Markdown. If you mess with Markdown before, you know what I'm talking about. You could also bold things with asterisks. So if you use 2 asterisks between words, it will bold those words. So something to think about. Okay. And then lastly, we have here customizing the resume section. So you would want to add some things like, you know, University of California, Berkeley. You could put like your degree. So we'd say a Bachelor of Arts in Statistics for most of you. And then you could put like your GPA. So we'll just say 4.0, even though I don't have a 4.0. You could also, so this would be like an education section. You could also have like a experience section. And then here we could put like, we'll say Berkeley again as a GSI. I'll just put my own job. So GSI or Stat W3 concepts with data. And if we go to the website, oh, it actually threw us to the resume section already. See here in the education section, we have the school experience. We also have the company or institution. One thing I want to change though is I like how the double hyphen will give us a little vertical bar here, you see. I'd prefer that above like this section. So I'm gonna put the two hashtags in the dedicated sections area. So here we go. Education, UC Berkeley, statistics, GPA. And then we have here the job, and then you can give like some did stuff at the job, including job, including this sentence. Okay, we save that and we can see that shows up. You can also add a skills section, a word section. Uh, you've got, if you're watching this video, you probably already have a resume. I would recommend just kind of copying what you've done there, maybe making a bit longer so that you can talk more about what you've done. Um, so yeah, let's continue on. So let's actually now get into rendering the site. So we could see here that we're still in the preview mode because it says get, and then it's like the last thing that happened. But it's immediately obvious because if you weren't in preview mode, your your terminal will look something like this, where it just has like the prompt, okay? And there's nothing here. You can see it's just a blank where my cursor sits. So to get out of this on Mac, it's Command Z. Literally sorry, not Command Z. I misspoke. It's Control Z. Um, so it is actually the Control key. It's not Command. It's Control Z. On Windows, I believe it's Control C. It might be Control D though. So from here, let's actually render the website. So we'll type out Quarto render. You can see it's rendering every part of the document, and it says output created site/index.html. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually see what that output looks like. So on Mac, you can go to your Finder and wherever you have your website located. For me, it's in my downloads. I can click into it and then click Site and then click index.html. And it actually pops up the website, completely working. Fortunately, this is just a local copy, so no one's going to be able to see this unless you send them the entire file. So instead of doing that, let's actually publish it on the publish it on the internet. I publish it on the website. Um, so how do we do that? You are going to have to sign up for a service called Quarto. Actually, I should say there's a lot of ways to do this. With my personal website, I use GitHub Pages. There's other services like, well, Quarto is one, GitHub Pages, I think Netlify. There's a bunch you can choose from, but I would recommend GitHub Pages or Quarto, but Quarto is the easiest. So we will go over doing that. Okay, so how do we do that? First thing, actually, let me do this. First thing you're going to do is go to quartopub.com. You can see right now I'm logged in, so I'm going to actually sign out. You'll get this kind of page. You'll click sign up. Oh, and then you can use your Google information. Just click Google or GitHub and then use your school information if you'd like. That's how I have it set up. So if I click sign in, Google, I click my school account, and then there we go. I have this little dashboard, which includes all the websites I've published in the past. Okay, so how do we make a new one? So in your positron terminal, you can type out Quarto publish. Then from here, you're prompted for a provider. If you use the up and down arrow keys on Mac, you can select between them. Um, like I said, there's actually a lot of options they give you. So we're going to use QuartoPub, and then I'll hit return on that, and it'll ask you publish with account. By default, it probably won't have your account here. You're going to have to click use another account or log in, but it is fairly straightforward. If you're having issues with it, you can come by my office hour and I'll help you out. I know sometimes with Windows, the process is a bit different for this Quarto publish. So if that's you, I've had a Windows computer and published before, so I should be able to help you. So I'll click my account, then site name. So I'll use the name example Quarto website. That's a bit long. We'll just call it example site. Okay. And one thing you should know is you don't have to include your name in the website title. I've seen people do that in the past. Your Quarto Pub username will already be in the URL. So I would recommend just calling it something like resume or site or something like that. So it's like a main central place for people to go. Okay, creating Quarto Pub site. And it's going to do another render in case you forgot to. And then it will do all these actions, but then we'll have all of this done for you. And if you go back over to QuartoPub and click refresh, you'll see the new website right here. You click on it, you'll see published at this site, gives you some settings that you don't really have to worry about. You can click on the link and boom, you have, so the format is your username and then quarto.pub slash, and then the URL you gave it. Okay, that's awesome. And if you're wanting to add things later to the website, like for example, I added them here, and then I go to the About section, and then I say, oh, I didn't study at Berkeley. I studied at, uh, oops, sorry. I didn't study at Berkeley. I studied at, you know, UIUC, just a college that came to mind. I don't know. Um, that's totally fine. You can run Quarto publish again, and then by default, it'll actually tell you, do you want to just publish to that same place you were just at? You can click return, and it'll re-render everything for publish, put everything on QuartoPub, and if you go back, refresh, click the About section, you can see the change is made. I studied at UIUC. Great. Okay. So there is some extra stuff here about adding a favicon that I'm going to skip. But basically, I have to move this thing again. If you look at the top of websites, for example, here, the Quarto website, up here on my browser, you can see a little blue logo for Quarto. Same with the Quarto Pub, which is a little bit darker. But you see there's no icon for this website. And so that's what favicon refers to. It's basically this little image that comes up in place of the text. So if you'd like to add a favicon, it's super, super easy. You can either add an image of your own or you can create one on the website provided. Um, but that is probably the least important step, I would say. I don't even think my own website has a favicon, but it can be a nice touch. All right. So again, if you have any issues with the publishing or creating the website, please let me know. You are welcome to come to my office hour or even email me if you'd like. Thanks for watching.